my power adder of choice is the performance platform. Okay, power is the last thing we put into a car, and my 5 secrets to the performance platform. If you've been in some of my workshops, you'll recall this. It's chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. You get those 5 things right, and a lot of times you don't need a power adder. Specifically, like on a Coyote. I mean, I got my 2012 GT4 RS track car. It was a Coyote motor with a cold air kit, long tube headers, and a tune. That was it. But I had my full AGS 4.0 suspension with great brakes and a great wheel and tire package. And I'll give you an example, like tracks like Road America. You would expect, Road America is theoretically a horsepower track. So you would expect like GT 500s with all that supercharged horsepower to be really fast up there. Well, I can tell you that my naturally aspirated Coyote, GT 500s got in my way. And I would pass them on the straightaway like they were sitting still. And the reason for that is because I have a really great performance platform. I could go really deep into the corners. The car would rotate. Now, this is my AGS 4.0 suspension. It's engineered specifically to do this. Really late and deep on the brakes. It would rotate, it would turn and rotate really well, and I would get back to the gas well before the apex. That's because what I do with the geometry and bring the front roll center up, the rear roll center down, and all the other geometry things I do. I'm to the gas well before the apex, which means I've got really, really great corner exit speed. And it's really, your total speed is all about corner exit speed. The higher your exit speed, the higher your terminal speed in the straightaway. So I got my foot down, buried into the gas, like right at or before the apex. I'm got really good launch off the corners. Where with the big horsepower GT500s, they got to, first of all, they don't have as good a suspension as mine. But secondly, because of all that torque, it takes a long time before they can really put their foot down. If they start putting their foot down, like in the middle of the corner, the torque will overwhelm the rear tires, and because there's no anti-squat in those cars, it'll get really loose. So they actually have to feather the gas coming off the corner until they kind of get straight, and then they put their foot down. But by that time, I'm gone. I'm all the way down the track. I mean, I've even passed GT500s halfway between turn 3 and turn 5 at Road America, and that's a long straightaway. So yeah, my power adder of preference is the chassis and suspension, because there's a lot of speed in the chassis. I mean, a good example, if you ever watch a NASCAR race, if they want to make the cars go faster, I mean, they don't pop the hood and adjust the carburetor. They work on the chassis. And I'm sure you've seen races where, a driver's complaining about his car's junk in the middle of the race, but they keep working on it. Tire pressures, adjust this, adjust that, and then the car's quick at the end. So to me, the real speed is in the chassis. If I were going to put a power adder on, I wouldn't do it on a Coyote motor for the track. I mean, you just don't need it. To me, you don't need it. For the earlier cars that like the 2 and 3 valve 4.6s, if you really wanted to, first you got to do your performance platform, your power platform. Otherwise, you put extra power on, and like I say with the GT500s, you can't use it. I mean, you just kind of feather the gas, and by the time you get the car straight and you can put the power down, you're more than halfway down the straightaway, and there's no sense to it. But if I were going to put something on and I had a really good platform, chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes, I would use a centrifugal supercharger. That's kind of like the Vortec or what's the other one? Procharger. And the reason for that is the centrifugals are almost like a turbo. So the faster the motor goes, the more boost it makes. I would not use a positive displacement like the Roush or Whipple or anything like that, or like the GT500s, just simply because, I mean, that's positive displacement. As soon as you hit the gas, you get instant boost, instant torque. And that's going to hamper you getting off the corners. You're not going to be able to put your foot down, which means you're not going to have great corner exit speed. So I would stick with a Vortec type, because you're not going to have that instant torque, and it's going to build power down the straightaway. But like I say, to me, the biggest power adder is getting that chassis, suspension, wheels, tires, brakes. You get those 5 things down right, and you find you probably don't need a power adder. We've even did we did Cliff's FR500S. We upgraded it to my newest 4.5 suspension system, and then also and we took it up to 2011 World Challenge specs with some cylinder heads, cams, and intake. And I mean that makes like 440 horse, which is like pretty darn good. I mean 440 horse is just like a boss, and that car was really quick. So that's kind of the way I look at that. I'm not really a fan at all of adding any kind of power adder for track day. Road racing, it's completely different. You have to work to a set of rules.